Hello, Hero Collectors here. How's it going, everybody? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. I know I am, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Marvel Legends Marvel's 85th Anniversary Super Deluxe Odin figure. This is a really chunky figure. It's going to be a little bit harder to record, but I am still going to do it. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Alright, let's take a closer look at the figure. So as you can see, I currently have the really fancy crown adorned on Odin. I will show you how to swap out the crowns and hair pieces in a minute. You can see the fur and how that plays into it, and we've got this really soft and kind of stretchy material-ish cape. I think this is a lot better than what the Black Series is doing for some of their cloaks. I don't have a preference either way in terms of soft goods. I think this is fun and a nice inclusion in terms of, you know, maybe you want to have him sitting on a throne or something. But I know some people have a preference as to, oh no, stick with plastic capes. Some people like soft goods but prefer to have wires in them. I have no serious preference either way. I like that they're trying new things and it's executed well here. Coming back to the front, you can see the face sculpt is really good. I like a grumpy looking Odin, and he's got a really nice beard that has, I think, some wash to it. If you raise that up, you can see that this little symbol's there. That is actually, I think, glued onto this chest piece. You can see this blue chain wrap around to the back of the figure, and he's even got some paint detail and other adornments on his back. There's lots of bronze throughout, and gold, of course, on like the gauntlets, the belt, the shoulder pads, and then this really cool metallic blue that I like. It's on the arms and that chain and the legs here, kind of like the chainmail-esque stuff. And got a nice detailed belt, and then some nice spiky horns on the boots, the gloves, and lots of gashes you can see in the armor throughout the shoulder pads as well. See those hands throughout there. Just a quick mention, I do have a QC problem with this wrist. I don't think it was actually like molded properly inside, so all the hands that I put on this wrist, they are very loose in their connection, or they like wobble around in here, so it makes it difficult to actually articulate the hand. Other than that, I think the rest of the QC is pretty great. There's lots of paint apps on this guy, but I haven't noticed any serious blemishes, so he is looking good. So let's talk about the accessories for a moment. First up, we have Hunin and Munin, the two crows. We have seen these before. They came with the Herald of Galactus Thor. They do kind of have a purple shimmer to them, but I'm only really seeing that through the camera. Oh, I can see it more here on this one. You can't really see it as much on this one. But they're cool, but we've seen them before. In terms of weapons, we have the staff, which we have seen before. It's just molded in this color. I think we've seen this with, I think, the previous Build-A-Figure Odin, maybe a Namor or two. And then we do have this sword, which is new, brand new. I have one small paint scuffage, and I'm not sure if that's from me handling the figure or if it came like that. It's got a nice flat gray, which looks pretty good for the blade, but everything else is painted. And I have taken this in and out of the gripping hands, and I don't seem to have any real paint scuffage on the hand, like the hilt part, I should say. So looking pretty good there. And then, as you can see, for hands, we have a fisted hand and one open, kind of expressive hand. But then Odin also comes with two gripping hands, one for each side. I actually have these on the wrong side. But yeah, one for each side. And these have a roll of the dice motion because these are the weapon-wielding hands, which I do appreciate that. But now let's show off the extra head attachments and how they go onto the figure. So we've got what I consider the battle crown and the standard hairpiece. So when it comes to this helmet, you have to take the fur off of his shoulders, which, as you can see here, it has two ports on the shoulders, and that is where the cape is attached to. It just kind of lays over those ports, and then you can detach the crown. As you can see, he's got a little indent and a couple of bumps, or I don't know what you call those, but if that line up with the head of the figure. And then let's say you want to have him lounging about the castle, and you just kind of do that, and the fur does have to go over the hair for the hair pieces, because the standard hair and this crown have a hair piece to it. But if you want to have more movement on your Odin, okay, you can add in the battle helmet, and that does not have a hairpiece attached to it. So if you put the fur back on, you can get a little bit more range to it. So I think when I do the articulation, I'm just going to use this helmet. The hair will be restricted a lot more than this helmet will be. Speaking of articulation, let's just go ahead and get into it. He can, with this helmet, he can look up that far. He cannot look down very far because of the beard. He can get some side-to-side kind of expressive movement, and he can look side-to-side very slightly. If you do take this off, you can get a little bit more, actually a lot more than I was expecting, and that way. So there is that. Let's put this back on. Okay. Shoulders can go up that high. They can do a 360, and this armor shoulder pad will move with it, but I think after a certain point you kind of have to just let it rest and then adjust the arm where you want it. He does have, okay, I will say he's got some really stiff joints. So he does have a bicep swivel. He's got joint at the elbow, single joint, and it can get that far in. And like I said, this I have a QC issue on this hand, but can do twist and up and down. The torso has a ball at the waist, so he can look up that far. And then he can crunch down, not very far because of these bumping into each other, but if you tuck that in, you can get that far in, and you can get some side-to-side movement like so, and of course twist a full 360 out. Range on the hips can go about that far. He can kick forward a bit and back not so much. He does have a thigh cut, double jointed knees that only go that far, and then he's got down on the ankle, up more so than some figures, and then he does have a good ankle pivot. So now, what are my final thoughts on Odin? Well, at first, in my initial unboxing, I was very cynical of this figure and not very open to its potential, is the nicest way I can say. I saw the articulation and just wrote it off as kind of a bad figure. What I will say is it was a lot more fun in hand than I initially thought, and I had a good time posing him. Yes, the articulation is very limited, and I knew that going in. It's, a big, bulkier character with lots of armor and lots of attachments. He was never going to get a Spider-Man pose, and I recognize that. But I'm starting to become a bit more of a articulation snob, so when a figure or character is released that can't get a lot of movement, I tend to just write them off. And I guess that's what I did with this Odin. So I wrote it off and just kind of didn't mess around with him very much. He was a cool display piece, but I didn't really feel the need to pick him up and play with him and pose him. But when I finally did, I was very surprised because I had a good time. And I felt the need to keep taking photos, which is usually a good sign that I am enjoying a figure. So it was a great experience to be wrong about a figure. Now, is it Still very limited. Did I have some problems? Yes. But with all the accessories that he comes with, the swappable helmets, the weapons, the hands, I was still able to have a lot of fun with this figure that I didn't expect to. So, does he have the fun factor? I think so. I honestly do think so, because I had a lot of fun posing him. So, with that being said, what is my final rating on Odin? I'm gonna have to go with an 8 out of 10. 7's about my average, where I think a figure is good. I think an 8 out of 10 because he simply surprised me. Is it perfect? No, I do still have problems. But in terms of enjoyment and being surprised, and I will. And another factor that I forgot to mention, I was able to get him for highly discounted. I think I paid $30 for him in the end, where I believe he retails for 50 to 60. I can't remember exactly. So that does add to my enjoyment level, I will say. But I think even at, like, say, $50 or $45, if you can find them for cheaper, it is a great figure, especially if you're looking for an Odin and want to build out your Asgardians display. Alright, that was my review of the Marvel Legends Deluxe Odin figure from the Marvel's 85th anniversary figure line. Let me know what you think of this figure down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the review. While you're down there, make sure you like and subscribe, because this Odin was the last figure I needed to review in the 85th anniversary wave. So that means I need to do a wave ranking soon. So be on the lookout for that and all the other reviews and other rankings that I will be doing in the next couple weeks. So I will talk to you all in another video, another post, another time.